In this video, we will be using an example of an expository essay to identify various items that we're going to need to know in order to be successful on our STAR test. All right. So, before we begin and talking about what it is that we're going to do, I want you to take a few minutes to just read through this example real quick. You can pause the video, do whatever it is you need to do, and then we'll get back to going over what we need to go over. Okay, so there's 6 things that we want to identify in this video. Okay, we're going to want to know what our thesis statement is. We're going to need to find links to the thesis in our body paragraphs. We're going to need to know our topic sentences for our 2 body paragraphs. We're going to be able to identify what details, specific examples that are being used in our body paragraphs. We want to make sure that the thesis is restated in the final paragraph, and then we want a strong closing statement to wrap everything up. So we're going to go paragraph by paragraph through this and identify the important parts. And hopefully this will help you when you're in your own writing, when you need to figure out what it is that you need to write that would be best. So in the first paragraph, it says 31 8th graders impeccably uniform in dark blue gabardine jumpers or trousers with white blouses or shirts sat stoically as a visitor lectured us on the proper clothes to wear. Our message rang loud and clear: you act the way you dress. The year was 1999, and we would soon enter high school. So if you read through this entire essay, you would see that it's talking about however it is, the way you dress is the way you act, or the way you act is because of the way you dress. So that is the underlining theme in this essay. That is the message that the writer is trying to get across to whoever the audience may be. So in those, there's 3 sentences in that first paragraph, and of those 3, the second one is the one that summarizes the entire essay in one sentence. So her message rang loud and clear: you act the way you dress, is what's being discussed in the entire essay. So this is going to be our thesis. All right. At no point in the essay is it not talking about this one particular sentence. Next, we go to the first body paragraph, and we need to identify what the message is in that one. Throughout life, that message has risen up to me. When my thinking went sour, bite into my behavior, so did my wardrobe. Peevish and bad-tempered, I peer into my closet only to find every piece of attire rank and distasteful. Dresses I had loved for their color prints or their daring or swirl, bold flowers, vertical stripes, full skirts, fermented before my eyes. Acting disenchanted with the world caused disenchantment in my choice of clothes. So in this second paragraph, or this first body paragraph, the message being sent is that everything that she has or wore as she began to, I guess, go through her teenage years and be mad about everything began to look bad or awful. So she talks about that at the very beginning of the paragraph, saying that throughout her life, that message has risen up to her. She, of course, is referring to the message from the thesis. After that topic sentence, she goes on to give a couple of sentences describing in detail or giving specific examples of what it is that bothered her about the way that she dressed or her thinking. So the next 2 sentences provide the detail. and specific examples that support the topic sentence. And then she makes sure to tie back her paragraph to the actual thesis by saying that acting disenchanted with the world caused disenchantment in her choice of clothes, which is kind of just another way of restating that you are the way you act. I mean, you act the way you dress. So being unhappy in her life made her unhappy with her clothes. Next paragraph. So the second body paragraph says, but life does not stay stagnant long when you are adolescent. Often when called upon to be in the groove for classmates, dates, teachers, or my parents, that visitor's message would kick in. I acted the way I dressed, quick and alert. No sloven look for me. Why, I even re-ironed my blouses until their crispness crackled, brushed my jacket until the woolly nubs of fabric stood at attention, and took special care of all my accessories matched or blended or harmonized in a way that deserved glances of admiration. So again, the topic of this sentence, she's talking about the dressing and how and what she thought of the topic in her adolescent years, which is what she tells you in the very first sentence of the paragraph. So you know exactly where it's going and how it ties in to acting the way you dress. After that, just like she did in the first paragraph, or in the first body paragraph, she gives a couple of examples. Talking about having to be in the groove and trying to make everybody happy. And that she wanted to look sharp by re-ironing her blouses, brushing her jacket, and taking care of all of her accessories. These are details. These are specific examples of how the topic sentence relates to this paragraph, relates to the entire essay. In the middle of this paragraph, she goes back and makes a link to the thesis. She basically restates the thesis by saying, I acted the way I dressed, quick and alert. And the thesis statement actually says you act the way you dress. So she says it almost word for word, but just in a different way. But that reconnects the paragraph to the original thesis and is the link back to it. And then finally in her conclusion paragraph, it says that now in 2012, I'm convinced of the wisdom of that 1999 message. When I see sloppy kids hanging out talking about hooking up, when I see short shorts and see-through blouses and shirt in church, I think either I'm getting old or the message remains clear. Our brains direct our actions. Our attire, accoutrements of thinking make visual the trappings of our working. That's right. So, here in the conclusion, we're looking for two things. We're looking to restate the thesis, and we're looking for a strong closing statement that's really going to grab the reader's attention and sum up everything that we were just talking about. So in the first sentence, she makes sure to restate the thesis by going back to when she originally heard the message in 1999. And even though it's been 13 years, she understands that still holds true. So that's a important statement that's going to get the reader's attention. And then again, she talks about a couple of examples that tie everything in together before making a very strong closing statement, talking about how thinking and clothes are related to each other, with the very final sentence, which is a strong closing statement. That wraps up the entire essay So as you can see, almost everything that's written here in this essay is of importance. All right? There's very little filler. There's very little things that are unnecessary. Almost every sentence she puts in there is a requirement for an excellent expository essay.